Eagles, to be honest, my analysis on this game was so different at one point than what it'll be now. Because I
Sure.
was like, man, this just looks like the best team in the NFL that's about to repeat as Super Bowl champs. And then in the second half, they had 0 passing yards in the second half. 0. Goose egg.
More
And let the Bucs back in it.
Yep, more special teams in this game.
True.
The game started with that block punt.
Yep. Touchdown,
It
yeah.
Yeah, right, man. They were so dominant in the first half. And yeah, and it was a lot of actually Jalen Hurts making plays to the pass game
Mhm.
too. It kind of felt like, they've lost the last couple matchups to the Bucs, right? They lost in the regular season and they lost in the playoffs, and it felt like, hey, we need to come out hot early, and that felt like the game plan, and it was going well. But like you said, I think even though they didn't complete the comeback, one of the stories of the game is how Baker kind of surged this comeback, man. It was kind of unbelievable. I didn't expect that at all, especially against the defending champs who have been virtually unbeatable in the regular season the last couple of years, dude. I mean, they've been one of the most unbeatable teams. They had a dominant
Yeah.
playoff run. But Baker just led this comeback, and it ended on a boneheaded Baker play. That's what you get sometimes with Baker, man. Like he leads this crazy comeback, all these crazy throws. That one to Ibuka was unbelievable. What an insane throw
Oh
that
my
was.
God, yeah.
Tight window. But then he was just trying to do too much, which I kind of get why he's trying to do too much right now. It's like, even though they got Wirfs back in this game, they got Godwin back in this game, they've been undermanned. They still have Mike Evans out. They still have their other tackle out, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And so he's felt like he's had to do this a lot in this season, which he has. But on that play where he throws the pick, man, it's just like, just throw it away. You evaded the pressure, just throw it away. You don't have to make a play on this play. But had they got that touchdown, they would have had a chance to get the 2-point and tie it, dude, in the fourth quarter. So that would have been unbelievable if they were able to complete this comeback.
Yeah, it was one of those moments where I was just kind of screaming no at Baker because he was breaking the tackles, and I was like, just throw it away, just throw it, live to the next down, and then
Yep.
bad. Because even if he had gotten a better throw off, there's just nothing
There
positive would have
wasn't there.
happened where he
And the
throw it.
problem was
No,
Godwin called for it. What are you doing, God? Did you see him put his hand up?
I
Godwin
didn't see
called
him
for it.
call
It's
for
like,
it.
dude, you have two guys on you. What are you putting your hand up for? But even, I
He's
mean,
back, man.
I'm not excusing Baker for that, though. I mean, you still have to see it
Right.
yourself and throw it away. And the throw was just horrendous, too. It was like an absolute
Yeah.
duck. Like, that thing was getting picked off no matter what, dude.
It's Jihad Campbell too. I don't know if it was his first pick. It probably was of his career, and it was huge. But yeah,
Yep.
that throw to Ibuka, like that, that was kind of like the prime example of when you talk about an NFL window or throw. Like, to be honest, most quarterbacks probably aren't crazy enough to try that throw, and that's also where
Sure.
arm strength plays in. It's not how far you can throw it; it's also how
The
quickly can you
velocity.
get it. Yeah,
Yep.
window closes, man. And if Tua had attempted that throw, probably would have
Pick.
been pick six. Like,
Yep.
let's be honest. But yeah, this game was crazy because one thing too that I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to educate people on is like, don't just look at box score stuff when you hear things like Quinyon Mitchell was mirroring Ibuka, and he was, but that doesn't mean in zone coverage he's credited for anything Ibuka does, which that big touchdown was in zone. But when Quinyon was on Ibuka, he only gave up like 2 catches for like 7 yards or something. So that method worked pretty well. But yeah, this game, I mean, all credit to the Eagles. To be honest, the sad part in this is that they're winning these games and they're not even remotely playing to their level. And I kind of want to put the blame on Patullo. And I just saw an article where Jordan Mailata kind of threw shade at him quietly as well. Because when you watch them, man, like their play calling and decision just seems bizarre. It's like 2 straight runs and then a pass design where like AJ Brown is running 3 routes on the season so far. But Mailata said we have to do a better job up front. But also, if they're gonna load the box, let's see how we can pick them apart. Maybe we can run some play actions. Again, it starts with us, but if you look at the plays, we're 1 block away. That's just throwing shade at
It's
your
crazy.
OC a little bit.
It is, dude. That is throwing shade at the OC completely. It's crazy an offensive lineman would say that, especially when you're 4-0. Like you said
Yeah,
that
he's
when
not
you're
lost.
undefeated. It speaks to the standard that the Eagles have set,
Yes.
which is very impressive. And they've shown multiple ways to win. But you're right, a lot of the play calling has been weird. I know you want to shout out some of the play calling with the fake tush push. That was
Oh yeah,
incredible.
predicted.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You did. You talked about that in the preview show, and they've done it in the past. But this was even a different variation of it. And
Yeah.
dude, it's crazy because the Bucks, like, you said they activated Desmond Watson, right?
Yeah. I don't know if he
Um,
was playing, but they did activate him. Yeah.
well, it was very clear that the Bucks were doing a lot to stop the tush push. That was a big part of their game plan.
Yes.
And the Eagles had the perfect counter, man. The perfect counter because no one was touching Saquon. If that was in the middle of the field, Dakota, I think Saquon would have scored on the play. I mean, there was no one there. Of course, the Bucks may have played it a little bit differently if it was in the middle of the field, but yeah, outside of the fake tush push, which was nice. The offensive play calling has been weird because especially at times where it's like, okay, Hurts, we've criticized Hurts in the past, but Hurts can get it done through the air. I mean, you still
Yeah.
do have AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, which is one of the best wide receiver duos in the entire NFL. So they can get it done through the air, but it's felt like at times they haven't trusted him to do so. They haven't fed the ball to AJ Brown enough, which I know that seems simple, but like sometimes, especially receivers like him, just a simple screen will get them going, man. Something just to get the ball in their hands, to get them warmed up. Receivers talk about that all the time. They just want the ball, and sometimes that'll get them more interested into the game. So yeah, man, it has been weird, but despite all that, they are still 4-0, man. They found a way.
Yep.
Despite looking shaky at certain points in these games.
And with Saquon only having 19 for 43 as well, and like 7 or whatever of that was on that touchdown, off of the fake tush push. Yeah, and I have been very critical of Jalen Hurts consistently, but like he had 15 completions. AJ Brown has 2 catches. Devontae has 2 catches. John Mechie has 2 catches, which is crazy.
Why?
But 2 for 7 and 2 for 29 for your star duo. And I don't put it on Jalen, man. When you watch some of these plays and somebody showed every single that AJ Brown ran, and it's just basic stuff, man. Like the offense is just too vanilla from a passing game perspective. And I think that's making it difficult because at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts isn't Joe Burrow. Jalen Hurts isn't Patrick Mahomes. But he's shown he can be successful. But when you're scheming up an offense this plain, it's pretty easy to stop and create it where like Jalen has to either throw a jump ball to somebody or something. So yeah, hopefully they can get the offense figured out. Again, to your point, it's not mattered. 4-0 right now with an offense that's not been as good as it should be, and they're still able to win. So if the offense can get it together, I mean, right now, the Eagles still look like one of the best teams in the NFL. They look like the defending champs. So, yeah, and then, it wouldn't also be a Eagles game without AJ tweeting something cryptic. He tweeted some like quote that had to do with withdrawing and stuff. Basically, like, they're not gonna.
This is what I'm talking about, man.
It's wild.
Like sometimes you just have to force a guy like that because he is going to win you football games this year. He was the big reason they came back against the Rams. You have to just force feed him the ball sometimes to keep him engaged in the game. Offensive coordinators talk about all the time, Dakota, players over plays. They preach that kind of crap all the time. And sometimes I roll my eyes at it, but there's something to it, especially with a guy like AJ, who if he doesn't get his targets, he don't listen. Let's just we'll keep it a buck. Like Cam Ward says, AJ Brown don't give a shit about winning, dude. He just doesn't. He cares.
No.
He cares about his stats. Number one. Now, maybe secondary is winning, but he wants his statistics, which, when you're an alpha receiver, we condone those kind of actions, right? We condone those kind of actions.
We encourage it.
Yeah, we encourage it. Exactly. We want that from our alpha number 1 receiver. So as a play caller, you have to know that because listen, even if the OC understands that, hey, we can control this game, we can dominate this game on the ground, you still need to keep AJ Brown engaged because there's going to be times in the playoffs where with big matchups like against the Rams where you're going to need him engaged. You're going to need him in the game. So yeah, that's something that they're going to have to keep in mind going forward.
His stats on the season, man, are ridiculous. He has 14 catches for 151 and a touchdown. He is averaging less than 40 yards per game and 3 receptions. That's just inexcusable from a game planning perspective
for AJ Brown.
And again, not putting that on Jalen. No, that is a game planning issue. So yeah, to be honest, basically the gist of this is the Eagles are going to be better. They're just going to keep getting better, and they've won. I think last week made them 7, or maybe it was this week made them 7 in their last season's worth of regular season games.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I'd say
They
so.
don't lose. So last two things really quickly I want to shout out on this is one thing when watching the Eagles too is it's like when the other teams are making good plays, it's like, man, this play design is really good. They've executed it. And somebody for the Eagles play defensively where they just blow it up. There was a screen that was perfect to Bucky that got blown up for just a 1-yard gain that was set up perfectly. And then that leads me into my other point. So for dude. His ability to cut looks like somebody who's just really good on the stick in Madden. Like his ability to stop and go. Like every running back has that like thing they're at, unless you're somebody who's like, like an AP who's good at everything. But like Alvin Kamara's got his contact balance where like he runs so low that people fall off of him. You've got Derrick Henry with the stiff arm and straight line speed. His is the ability to just cut. Like his ability to make people miss by cutting is insane.
It is, dude. Bucky Irvin is so good with his ability to make guys miss. And a guy that people, I mean, they kind of slept on him in the draft, man. What was he, a fourth or fifth rounder? He slipped because of his workout, but he's just good at football. An example of a guy who's just good at football. It hasn't showed up at all. He looks like a perfectly fine athlete on the field. So yeah, Bucky's been huge for the Bucs. Also, last thing I'll say about the game, you mentioned earlier how Quinyon Mitchell was following Ibuka. Man, first of all, and I get he played well against Ibuka, but that says a lot about Ibuka that they're making Quinyon immediately follow him around. Baker was right in the offseason about Ibuka, man. He's a difference maker, dude. And to check that my guys had a real interesting conversation, I think last week, talking about how this is why you don't draft for need. This is why if you feel like you have a position figured out with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, that doesn't matter. If you feel good about Emeka Egbuka, you take him. And it's already shown this year to pay off in a massive way because they've needed Egbuka. First of all, right now he's the number 1 wide receiver because Mike Evans is hurt with his hamstring. So yeah, Egbuka's been huge.
It also says a lot about what people think of Chris Godwin at this point in his career, because this was his first game back, and they were like, "We're not worried about that old man. We're worried about that guy."
Yeah,
we're worried about that guy.
He's not the same, man. He's not the same after all those injuries.
But again, this is the exact moment where not drafting for need pays off too, where you now have, your rookie receiver who has 4 touchdowns on the season already. And then the offensive line, got to shut them out really quick. Looked a bit better with Wirfs back in the lineup and Barton moving back to his old spot. But yeah, Eagles moved to 4-0. Bucs are 3-1 with an interesting matchup next week against the Seahawks. So that'll be a fun one.